let's tune in first and then we'll start. So bring your palms together. The mantra is Om Namo Gurudev Namo. It means I bow to all that is, and I bow to the light, the essence within myself. It's kind of nice that way. So sit straight. Just kind of move a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right. Just so that you kind of, and then when you feel like you've found your place, just kind of settle there. And then once you find that, then move a little bit forward and a little bit back until you feel like you've found your space. And then allow yourself to be light and straight. Bring your palms together and inhale deep. And exhale. So this class is about the transition to Aquarian time and the kind of the energy that's available. That's like understanding how fortunate these times are that we live in and how easy the time can make it for us to make shifts and changes. And it's also about, in the way the class was described, was described as the yoga of you in relationship to others. So it's partly about the yoga of yourself and then how you can connect to others. And for me, that's really, really simple. For me, the yoga of you means the reality of you. It means just being real. It means being whole. Thank you. This morning we were talking about we were talking about this technique, this practice that was more prevalent in the 70s, and we used to call it primal scream, but it was the idea of getting your anger out. And it's very useful if you feel bottled up and you feel like your energy is bottled up. It's very useful to do something that allows it to release. But just because you release it doesn't necessarily mean that you're healing the situation. So we were exploring about, what it is like to actually heal a situation where you would feel angry and blocked up. And it would have more parts to it than just simply letting the energy out. For example, it would be like how it got to be that way. Let's say if you've got a pattern and you get into that state and then you release that energy, that it feels like a release. But then if an hour later or 2 days later or a week or 2 weeks or a month later, that same pattern arises and it results in the same type of energetics for you, then it's just going to go on repeating. So there's a certain value in facing your life, in being real, 100% real. And for me, that's what yoga really is. Yoga is the opportunity, the sensitivity, the information, the courage, the innocence to just be 100% real. Yogi Bhajan used to say that if you want to be a master, then you need to trust yourself 100%. Just think about that. That's not a very easy thing to do. I think about that sometimes. Because it really means really owning all the parts of yourself and being okay with that. And it's a very, very common thing to think in ill terms of yourself. Like, I have this habit. And it's kind of like owning it. Somehow I did something. In a kind of soft way. It's a little bit like a curse. Like, I've got this curse. Everybody's got 7 curses at least. I've got 7 curses. My curses are, that kind of thing. And the idea, kind of the feeling can be that I'm somehow responsible for that. And Guru Nanak was very, very clear about that. He said, it's just in Spirit's will. You are as you find yourself in Spirit's will. And so, if you want to, you can take responsibility for, triggers you may have or shadow parts that you may have, in the sense that you feel like you must have set that in motion somehow, but how do you know? How do you know what was the origin of those things? And so, if you can, you have the opportunity to just take a little lighter approach. Okay, it is the way we find ourselves. It's just God's will. I'm here. And these are my things. And everybody has their things. But these are my things, and it's okay. It's just a little more friendly to yourself. So it's in that spirit that I think of yoga as being real, the science of being real. These people who experimented over the thousands of years of time that we've been talking about, with how to explore in that space of being authentic, of being, of facing their life, and of being able to navigate between a limited sense of self and an unlimited sense of self. And in terms of then connecting to the other, the way I think of that in the simplest possible terms is, let me connect to the God in me, let me connect to the God in the other person, connect to God's. It's a very, very shorthand way of thinking what an alignment can be like in terms of relationship with another person. So I said that we are in a very fortunate situation. Some of you heard me talk about this the other day. You've all heard that song, the Hare song, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Well, in astrological terms, yes, there's planetary configurations, and about every 2,000 years, somewhere between every 2,000 and every 2,400 years, there's a big enough shift so that you're in another sign. And we have now passed into the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius has different energy than Pisces. A very, very simple way of that we were taught to think to kind of capsulize this was in the age of Pisces, the motto was, I believe. And in the age of Aquarius, the motto is, I know. And the difference, think of the difference of it like this. I certainly grew up, and I'm older than most of, but probably all of you, easily older than all of you. But when I grew up, and even to this day, there are many, many people, my own mother, for example, who looks outside of herself for the idea of what is right and wrong, and how the universe is organized, and what is going to happen with her, and how she should align herself. She particularly looks to religion. And many, many people look outside themselves for what they're being told is an order, is a way to believe, to have a comfort zone for how you fit into your life on the planet and with other people. And also what is a kind of a code of conduct or morality. And what Yogi Bhajan used to say to us is that in Aquarian times, that's all crumbling. People are going to have less and less interest in finding their belief system given to them by some kind of a person in authority or in respect and spirituality or something like that. And people more and more are going to want to be able to verify and authenticate within themselves what they know. They're going to be less and less willing to feel in their guts that they know something and then have somebody tell them they really shouldn't do that because it conflicts with some other code. And you are seeing that happening all over the world, whether you're talking about the Arab Spring or whether you're talking about what's going on, just was going on in Russia, or whether you're, it's just going on in so many areas where people are just showing that they just want to trust themselves and they just want to be trusted and they just want to feel like they're being honored as people who can know things and people who can do things and they can build things based on what they know. So we learned about this, Aquarian times, and it turns out that if you look more into the world of astrology, you'll find that by the winter solstice, the solstices are June 21st and December 21st. They're like, energetically, they're a little bit like triple full moons. They come up twice a year. And they're astrological configurations that have a lot of energy to them. You can see, one of them is December 21st. Does that have a lot of energy around December 21st? Yes, it does. The whole United States is just up 17 decibels to December 21st. So the solstice times are like that. So at December 21st, 2012, the sun will have reached a place in the heavens, in the universe, in the at the exact center of the galaxy, in a position that it has not been in for 26,000 years. And that has a pulse to it. That has a magnetic impact. You know that the moon affects the tides. I mean, you trust that. I mean, sailors will tell you all about it. But these things do have an effect. You probably sense that the moon has an effect, the full moon. It's not that hard to figure out that the full moon affects you. The moon affects water. You're somewhere between 50 and 70% water. But even beyond that, you can just feel the effects of the full moon. And you know that that's an auspicious time to be awake and alert and to use that time because it'll show you what's old and what's pushing up. Because if you feel at the time of the full moon, if you feel anxiety, that's a perfect time to turn and look and see what it is. It's like the universe gives us this time once a month. Things boil up and you can use it. But if you turn and use it and face your life, it's an amazing opportunity. And the solstices are like that too. So at December 21st, 2012, the sun will have reached this place. And that is the exact last day of the Mayan calendar. Now, a lot of people predict that, that must be something dreadful is going to happen, and that's the end of the world. Those Mayans must have foreseen that that's the end of the world. I doubt it. I've lived through quite a few of these, some group is talking about how the world is going to end. I mean, it hasn't ended yet. I really doubt that on December 22nd we will be, whatever we'll be, ashes or something like that, or something. I don't think so. I think we'll still be here. But I do think that probably what that represents is that an entire new 26,000 year cycle will start. So the reason that I'm telling you this story is because there is a huge amount of energy, and it is increasing, and it'll keep increasing. There's a huge amount of energy that's available. And with awareness and with navigation skills, you can use that energy to make the shift. So in that other yoga studio, there's these 5 sutras of the Aquarian names that are on the wall. I'm going to give you each one of these cards. So let's just kind of look at it for a minute. The first one of these are, sutras kind of means like guideposts. And Yogi Bhajan gave us these, and he said, these will be your guideposts in these Aquarian times. So the first one is, recognize that the other person is you. What a simple way of saying that we are all one people. And that's exactly the sense that people have on the globe now, that we're all one people. Not all the political leaders, are grasping that, but the Earth's people seem to be grasping that pretty quickly. The other person is you. I just wrote a quick note to myself, because one of the things that I often hear is, why can't that other person get it together? Well, if you catch yourself saying that, then just think, why can't I get it together, to stop being focused on the fact that they can't get it together? Okay? That's a quick way of saying, of realizing to yourself the reality of the other person is you. So the second one is, there's a way through every block. When you really look into science, and we're going to talk about science here pretty soon, when you really look into science, everything is about vibration. Everything is about attraction and magnetic energy. Everything. That's the whole way that the world works. And so we're just coming out of a period where we don't imagine that. It's just like we don't really participate much. There's a whole secret reality kind of, and we don't participate that much. But the true reality is that everything is based on attraction and magnetics, and we're all connected all the time to everything until we decide we're not. So, is there a way through every block? Yes, there is, because it's just a simple matter of magnetism. Yogi Bhajan used to say to us, you talk about your spirit. You want to get all involved in definitions sometimes and get yourself out there. Here is my definition. It either flows or it doesn't flow. Are you flowing? Or are you not flowing? If you're flowing, your spirit's up. It's good. If you're not, you're stuck. Spirit's not flowing. So I don't need any fancy definition. Let's just use that one. So that's just a pretty good way. And the question is, are you saying yes or are you saying no? Sometimes I just lie in bed and I wake up and I can tell that I've just got blockage around me. And sometimes I just lie there in the darkness and I just say to the cells in my body, yes, yes, I'm flipping the switch. You're green now. You're green. You can communicate with the intelligence in every cell of you. It's not mysterious anymore. The science will verify to you that you can communicate with the essence of every cell, and it will obey you. It will obey you. It will move in response to you. So you can just say, green light. Green light. Okay? So Is there a way through every block? Yes, there is. And the key is right in your hands. The next one is, when the time is on you, start and the pressure will be off. I have to revisit that one from time to time. I've got a project, I don't like the project very much, my mind is on me, my past is on me, it's telling me, oh, this is going to be hard, this is going to be a drag, this is blah, 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 whatever it's going to tell me, right? But I have found, luckily, over the years, that if I somehow remember this and I keep this card right on my desk, start and the pressure will be off. And it's true. Once I just start, then I'm started. I've started. Whatever it is that I start, I've started. It's just like taking a step. Every journey starts with one step. Just start. Just take a step. The next one is, understand through compassion or you will misunderstand the times. The old way is, let me just look at this note a minute so that I can see what I wrote, because I liked what I wrote. I was sitting at Whole Foods and all of a sudden I thought, yep, this is the class. Let me write this down. Okay. Understand through compassion or you will misunderstand the times. Here's the kind of the note that I made. It's very, very easy. It's very easy for me. I think it's very easy for my friends. I think it's very easy for almost all of us. You see somebody, you see what they're doing, and it occurs to you that it's not right. It's not good enough, it's not right, it's not something, and it's so easy to judge them. If you have children, it's very easy to judge your children. If you have a husband or a wife, it's very easy. And we don't have any men here. So if you have a wife, if you have a husband, it's very easy. If you have a mother, it's very easy. And once you do take that snapshot and you in your mind frame it as that person is, they don't get it on this level. They don't get that. Okay? Now you've got that framed like that. So you've got that box set up for yourself. And that is called judgment. And judgment is not Aquarian. Judgment is going to bring pressure because the times are changing. And if you're out of alignment with the times, you're going to feel pressure. And that's the times we live in. The times are just pressuring us. It's like the moon, the sun, the planets, the galaxy is pressuring us to drop it, shift, move, get light, get happy, get together. You're one people. Think different. Okay? So just taking the bounce is going to take the pressure off and help all of us to be happier. So it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot of straightness and it takes a lot of being honest with yourself to be able to not judge, because it is really, really easy. It's so easy. You can just see a person in a supermarket and you can think, oh, that person is blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's, blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's an angry person on the street. Oh, that's blah, 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 blah. So easy. And then that person becomes not a rich human being. That person becomes a framed snapshot. And then you become, a photographer who's out there taking snapshots, only those are moral snapshots. You've got people kind of configured. But what does that do to you? Then how do you feel if you really notice that and you notice that you're doing this in relationship to other people? And I would suggest to you that it takes much more maturity. It takes real spiritual guts, discipline, and maturity to live in a different way. Because if you live in a different way, you've got to stay open and vulnerable. And that takes a lot more doing. Then you might say to the person, "Good morning, how are you? Nice to meet you." Something that starts a conversation. And I'm not here to tell you that I'm great at this and doing this and I hope you do this. That's not true. That's not true, and I don't think that's what Aquarian teaching is, and I don't think that's what Aquarian living is. I have to learn this thing over and over and over and over and over. These habits are so ingrained that it just takes a while. But there's also such a thing as taking a first step, and taking steps and doing. Keep this on your desk, keep this on your bed table, keep it someplace, keep it on your altar, keep it someplace. So that you just have ways of reminding yourself, am I boxing in that child of mine? Am I boxing in that husband of mine? Am I boxing in that co-worker of mine? Am I boxing in that other student, my friend, or whatever? And can I cultivate in myself the strength to be able to be much more vulnerable and just softer and leave space for people? And the last one is, vibrate the cosmos and the cosmos shall clear the path. I think an easy way of saying this that we talked about is, if you want the solution, vibrate at the frequency of the solution. If you want the answer, vibrate at the frequency of the answer. It's just so easy to say, oh, I pray God, please give me the tolerance to blah, blah, blah. Please give me just a little more money so that I can, do this with my kids. Please give me. Okay, just energetically, just look at that. Please give me. It's energy. You're calling on something outside yourself to give you that. Right? And that's fine. You can do that. That's authentic. But if you yourself can't relate to the energy that you're asking for, then you yourself are not creating the receptiveness for that energy to be. But if you were to say, may I be compassionate with my son, then you're not asking for it to be bestowed on you by an angel or something like that, just like Tinkerbell is going to come and tap you and you're going to get it. Okay? Maybe you are exploring with your friend, I got my son boxed out. I can't get past the fact that he's you've started. You're in a process. You're asking your friends for help. You're exploring. What would if I was compassionate to him? If I was in a different vibration, what would that be like? You're starting to explore the consciousness that you're asking for. You are response-able. You're starting to allow yourself to move to the vibrational frequency of the answer that you're asking for. And because the universe is magnetic, then if you're at the frequency of what you're asking for, it can't not come to you. Because you're in vibrational harmony with it, and everything is magnetic, and it's yours. It's yours. So I want to just tell you one more story, and then we're going to just do this yogically, okay? We'll just experience all this in the inside. And this story is one that some of you have heard, and it is the story of the water. So there is a team of scientists in Japan that started to explore the idea that if all snowflakes are different when they're looked at under high magnification, maybe if you froze water droplets, they would look different. So in fact, they did that. And they took water from a shrine, a high spiritual place, and it had a beautiful pattern. And then they took water from a slum, and it had a tumble-down crystal pattern. And then they did it with music. They did it with classical composers, and they did it with heavy metal music. And the crystal pattern was very different. You can kind of imagine. I don't really have to tell you how that all turned out. And then they took a glass of water, and a person sat in the presence of that water for about 10 minutes a day for a week or so. And then they froze the water, and they looked at it and had a very beautiful crystal, the most beautiful one that they'd seen. And then they did an experiment, and the person was kind of used the attitude of, "You're dumb, you stupid," toward the water, and then it was a tumble-down crystal. So these are scientists. So these scientists said, "Okay, we're physicists, we're water engineers. What is going on?" They also took a piece of paper and they wrote "loving kindness" on it. And they tied it with a string around the glass of water and had the same exact pattern that it did when they did the active thing. So they're saying, what happens? And they're saying that everything is in vibration. The water molecules are in vibration. And they are receptive to the energy of the person. There's a connection between the energy and the vibration of the person and the molecules of the water, the cells of the water, the protons, the electrons, and the neutrons, and they pick it up. They pick it up. And then the other story that I wanted to tell you was in Einstein's, one of the contemporaries of Einstein, his name was Max Planck. And he won the Nobel Prize. He was a physicist. And when he won the Nobel Prize, he gave a talk. And in his talk, he said that the greatest thing that he learned in his lifetime of physics was that when they noticed that under high magnification, if their attention was on a particle, the particle would move. Okay? So he didn't say we were like sitting there and talking to the particles and say move or go left or something. He didn't say that. He said that when they noticed that when their attention was on the particle would move. So what I'm saying to you then is, if you experience sensation within your body and you place your attention on it with loving kindness, don't you think it will respond as the molecules of the water respond? Yes, it will. And on top of that, you're 50 to 70% water. Yes, that is the way the world is. That's the connection. That's the way the world works. And if you have your attention on a part of yourself and you're sending the message, you're disgusting. That's too strong. I don't like you. You're my nasty pattern. Then vibrationally, you're just reinforcing that. You're reinforcing that. But if you could have the self-composure and the discipline to remember to have a loving kindness towards that, then what might happen? And could you be patient enough to give it some time so that even though you're trained to believe that it's not happening, and you want to just have the satisfaction of seeing it and having it happen quick. We're a nation of people who want it to happen quick. Will you have enough discipline? Will you have enough trust in reality? Will you remind yourself of reality enough to actually give yourself a chance to make this shift in these Aquarian times? And that's what I'm saying is available. It can be quick, it can be light, and it can take the pressure off if you can remember the opportunity that there is and work with things in a real way. Okay, so now this Kriya that we're going to do is called balancing prana and apana. So in the world of yoga, prana is all that magnetic energy that's out there. And the essence of the universe, essence that's in the universe is in every cell. That's the way the world is constructed. So the essence is in every cell. So when you inhale, oh yes, you're inhaling oxygen. Yeah, that's all fine. But what you're actually doing is inviting all this magnetic energy into you. And inviting in thousands of molecules, I don't know how many, ask the scientists, millions of molecules or something like that, each of which is carrying this energy. You are inhaling that. You are inviting that into you. And when you release apana, when you release the breath, when you release what's old, you're releasing. So the clue in these times is what your relationship is to what's coming in and to what's going out. Because if you can like ride on the wave, you can catch the wave of the times, then you can more easily be receptive and just drink in all this amazing opportunity that's